click on that. There you go.
See,
Because now it's being recorded.
so we're going to start the meeting and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of
Flags right
the
there.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, having done that, you got here first, so we can start with you.
Okay.
Hold on,
So
real
what-
quick, before you do that, are you seating Rob Hamburger in place of Georgette as an
Yes.
alternate?
Yes, because Georgette's not online and normally she's on like 10 minutes in advance.
Yep,
Explicitly.
yep, you just have to officially seat him, whoever's the chair.
I gave him a chair.
Yeah, okay. Well, before you seat me, who is going to be chair since
Alan's gonna be
Georgette?
chair.
I'll do it. I'll
Okay.
do it. So this is an alternate who was selected.
Hello.
Georgette Conrad, who is the chair, unfortunately had some issues during her hip surgery, so she's in a recovery center. And hopefully it all will go well with some time, but right now, not wanting to be short a member because we're only a 3-member board. We had the selectmen get an appointment and here we are.
And just to let you know who I am, I'm Bob Hamburger. I've lived in Andover for 33 years. I've got a 17-year-old who goes to RAM. I previously was on the board of planning and zoning. In fact, I chaired it for 2 years. So that's why they turned to me and said, hey, can you step in? So I know a little something about this kind of stuff.
Great, thank you, thank you.
So I'm going to remind you that you gave an oath for testimony to the board, and I'm going to just remind you that that oath is still in effect because you're still in a position to do that. So what we're going to ask is for you, we kind of go over what we've done. You submitted, you have that, the appraisal? So you submitted appraisal. We sent it to the assessor as we had discussed with you, and he had no comments to make on it. He thought it was appropriate appraisal with no issues. So that stands on good ground. Do you have any additional testimony you wish to give the board before we do? No? All
I
right,
believe the appraisal speaks for itself from an
Right,
independent appraiser.
right. That's this one here.
So since
And-
since I can't see the applicant, is this Janice Prohl we're discussing with?
Well, I can turn you around if that will help you.
Okay. How we doing?
He's doing, that's Eric, is the town administrator.
Oh, okay.
He's doing, oh, it's the emblem of the town.
Oh, I see.
Right, right.
Oh, I'm
He-
just covering and doing the minutes. I needed to know. So you're Janice?
Nope, I'm Krista Panorfi.
Ah, got it. Okay. No
And
worries.
so he's doing the minutes of the meeting.
Oh, okay.
The person who normally did them for the last several meetings wasn't able to do it.
Okay.
And Eric stepped up to the table, so to speak. So we're happy to have him do that. So you have no further information to offer. So based on that, I'm going to ask the newest member if he has any questions you want to ask.
I think so. Who conducted the appraisal?
Should be right on the front.
Is this another Fortin?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So she's got 30 plus 32 years of experience. She's in Hebron.
Mhm.
She's done tens of thousands. She's given court testimony, including on Andover cases,
Mhm.
and they have found her court testimony worthy. So we have no issues. The issue that was a postponement of the decision was based on the assessor asking that any appraisals that came in, he had be given an opportunity to look at, see whether or not he found any issues with them.
Mhm.
And he was given all of the appraisals to date, and we've been told of none. I asked Georgette specifically, she talked to him, and he has no issue with it.
So he's seen this.
Yeah,
Okay. If he were here, I would ask him how he came to such a different value.
Mhm.
I'd ask for some insight,
Mhm.
but he's not here. So,
And we thought we would get something along that line.
but we didn't.
Yeah,
That's surprising.
I had actually posed this question to the town's attorney, which is, this is an adversarial proceeding. How come the town isn't being represented the same way that, one side is represented, you're here, you're
Right.
submitting evidence, you're submitting testimony, we can ask questions. How come the town isn't being represented? The town has an interest in this.
So the way it works is this BAA was the very first board ever used in the state of Connecticut, going back to colonial time. And so the information is that the board has no cost, so people don't have to pay a fee to sit. They can present it, and it has to be to fellow residents. And we're not supposed to be unduly influenced, either by the town attorney. We can ask him questions, but he's not supposed to jump into the meeting to offer things.
Mhm.
We're supposed to be independent of that fact.
Right, we represent the process. We don't
Right.
represent the town. I
Right.
understand that fully.
So with your question, I would say that we tend to ask him questions in advance, just like the assessor. So we had a meeting. The assessor said, I'd like to see these. We said, sure, no problem.
Mhm.
We'll send them in. It was a little disjointed because we kept waiting to get information back and we didn't.
If the assessor has seen this.
Yep.
And has ruled it credible,
Right.
then that's probably pretty much all I need to know.
That's what we said.
I mean,
So-
I'd like to know more about why, but if he's seen it and he says, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Question along those lines, is there ever, like, if the town says.
Eric, this is
I'm
Janice
sorry.
Probert
Yes.
speaking now. She's asking a question.
Yeah, the question I had is along the same lines that was just brought up, is that if there's so much discrepancy and there's not an explanation from the person who made the original appraisal as to
Assessment.
or assessment as to why there's this discrepancy, is there ever in the future, like sure, there could be one or two cases where that just happens, but is there ever a time where it's looked at as a whole and said, well, gee, all of these that were done were this much higher?
Well, here's how we perceive this. We've had this discussion, Linda and I, in Georgette, actually. So you were concerned enough about the information you received to say, this doesn't look right. Now, everybody in the town who owns property has received that same letter.
Yeah.
And I think we're down to 9 people that were concerned enough to say, hey, we would like a chance to have this examined, and you petitioned us, and you're sitting in to give evidence, and we're going to render the decision, okay? The rest of those people apparently have no issue to the matter at hand, and that's the pricing of the property. Having said that, I don't know why, As to the other part of this, an assessment is different in how it's done than an appraisal. So in this state of Connecticut, to do an appraisal that has merit and value at court, right? It has to be independent, a certified Connecticut appraiser, not New York City. It has to be someone local, and that could be depending on where you live. I mean, Hebron is local to Andover, so that's a good choice. There are ticks you got to hit now. When you do that appraisal, you have to have comparables. So this person puts together a report, a very intelligent, well-defined report with comparables, and makes an analysis of the property, right? And what we're concerned is that it was done during the time period of the taxation, right? Not 2 years earlier, not right current to this year. We want it current to when the tax was applied in October of 2021. And having said that, if the comparables are valid, the person is certified, it's independent, right? All these things merit, in our minds, an acceptance. For instance, Linda and I haven't spoke to Bob about this, but we're not assessors, we're not appraisers. Okay, so we have to value that professional expertise, just like as we were talking about a PE, an engineer, professional engineer. I would never presume to review a professional engineer's report with a commentary because I'm not That's not my thing. I can't do that. I didn't certify, I didn't take the test, that's not my thing. It's the same here. And so that's why we used the assessor's office as a sounding board, and if he said, oh, this is 4 years old, it was done by a firm in New York City, the comparables are in Stanford, all of that would invalidate this information for us. So with that being said, I think if you have any other questions,
Oh, it sounds like the appraisal.
all right. Linda, any comments? I asked Bob.
No,
Okay.
you know how I feel.
You want to make a motion? I can't see the,
This is the appraisal was 342,
Mhm.
and we're supposed to make the motion in terms of the assessment. correct?
yes, this was a discussion with Georgette. She absolutely insisted as the chairperson that we make our vote based on assessment, not appraisal. So with that in mind, Linda has calculated the appraisal figure that you gave us. The appraisal was 342.
That's 70% of fair market value.
Correct.
342 is
Is
the
the fair
appraisal.
market value,
Yeah.
right? For the appraisal.
And
And
70% thereof
it's
would make your
239.
assessment,
Let's just double check.
Yep, you can double check it.
it would make,
Triple
the-
checking.
oh, she's an accountant, so.
I'm an engineer.
Okay.
Numbers.
Neither of those.
39,400.
That's what I got.
So I'll make a motion that this board accept 239,400 as the assessment on the Panorfi property, which is located at 55 Hebron Road, Andover, Connecticut. And do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. So
Thank
you
you.
people are all set. This is government at work.
Way it should be.
So for next steps, then I assume once you get through all the hearings, we'll get another letter in the mail.
You will,
with the
right.
Revised.
I'm going to assume at this point that Georgette's not in a position to send out the letters.
Okay,
And so I'll do that. And,
Okay.
and you will get a letter from the board, from me through the board.
okay. And then our property card will be updated as well to
Yes,
reflect.
we will notify the assessor's office of the change and Roberta will make the change on the cards.
Okay,
Then I believe you get something from
The
the
letter.
tax collector.
Oh, that I don't know.
changing- Well, that's what happened with the cars.
Okay.
With the
Oh, yeah.
autos,
they
because
sent-
remember I
Yeah, yeah,
submitted
yeah.
my car
Yes,
and I
When did they
ended
send
up having to sign something and they sent me a check. So
Yeah,
I don't know
okay.
how that
Okay, before we go any further, just to confirm, motion was made by Roy Allen, seconded by Linda Armstrong, and the motion was to set the assessment to 239,400 for 55 Hebron Road, Andover, Connecticut, correct?
Yes, but it's Alan Roy.
first name is
Oh,
Alan,
sorry.
last name is Roy.
Okay.
That's all right. My
sorry.
teachers did it all the time. You got that, Eric?
Yep,
Hey, excellent. Well, very good. You,
Okay.
you don't have.
Thank you very
don't have
much.
to stay.
Appreciate all your
okay,
time.
thank you so much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Janice Kroll, you have her. Yes, you're so organized.
Someone's gotta be.
Yes, exactly.
I reviewed this in substantial detail last night.
Okay.
So,
And Alan actually went and visited. the
I
house.
actually did. I did an on-site visit. I wanted to see for myself the conditions and the basement. I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to use this word. It's abysmal.
I don't even like going down.
Yeah. So Janice, before we, I've got to remind you, you're under oath. You were sworn in previously, but I am telling you that that extends to the board even now. So you acknowledge that, right?
Yes, I do.
All right. So having said that, you are being given an opportunity to present any additional evidence. And apparently you sent us an appraisal
Yes, and
several days
also
ago.
done by Linda Fortin. She had come as a recommendation because I guess she'd been doing some in the area and I needed to have this done fairly rapidly in order to get a copy sent in advance to this meeting. So she is also the one that was able to accommodate my timetable and.
What's her name again?
It's Linda Fortin, Fortin.
What was the first name? I'm sorry, you're hard to hear.
Linda.
Linda.
Linda,
Yep.
yeah.
All right, so is there, I mean, I saw the basement was mostly dirt and crawl space, other than the dugout area where you had your furnace and your hot water. So, yeah. It's an older camp structure, to say the least, with a lot of additions attached. And it seems like you built porches, enclosed them, covered them. I mean, it just seemed like the expansion.
Well,
went that way.
this was, again, this was my my parents had originally purchased it, and this is, gosh, probably almost 60 years ago. And they purchased it as a summer place. And then because they loved it so much, they converted it to full-time. And that's why it was as piecemeal. They had done an addition because of course, my brother and I were still living at home at the time, so they needed, more living space. But the walls, the floors, that are all original. And I've had, when they redid it, they did some slate, stone floors and when my dad passed, I had to have all the rugs ripped up because they were in bad shape, and I had the windows replaced because it was.
Except in that glass shell.
Right, because that ended up being structural, so I could not do anything about that.
Right.
But, it was really mostly cosmetic, even.
So as you go in the back door, it's a conservatory. It's like a glass shell thing.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
And
Yeah,
Oh, you
from
did?
the
You
greenhouse.
See the
She's-
pictures that Alan sent?
No,
This
you
was-
saw the
those
ones in
pictures,
the,
okay.
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Oh,
Plus,
good.
plus I looked
If
at
I
it
can
on
find them.
Google Earth.
I had gone there and those windows breached the edges so that when it rains, it floods that area.
And it's almost always foggy, which is why I wanted to have them
Right,
removed.
right.
But then they said.
They
well,
told
if
her
you-
that when they built it, it was structurally attached to the
Mm-hmm.
home and it would not be easily removed.
Hmm.
And they haven't funded the repair of the window system because I guess the expense is pretty high.
Might be
Yeah.
too much to download. on my phone.
So having said that,
I might
Bob, do you have any
some pictures.
questions of
And here, if you want.
Janice in
We
regards?
have
see
those.
this?
I was,
Oh, you have these
he had
pictures.
emailed me
Oh,
some I was gonna show Bob, but it's too much for my phone to handle.
Yeah, well, again, I would, has the assessor reviewed this appraisal? Has he commented?
My understanding is that he was getting copies of all assessments, all appraisals rather. I can't speak specifically to this one, but this was sent to us, 5 days ago?
Yep, I met her, she did that at the beginning of last week, and she emailed it to me on Friday, because that's when I sent it in, and I got the confirmation from Carol Lee. I think it was,
It's
I was
been
surprised
five or
because of
6 days.
yeah. It was sent in on last Friday, a week ago.
So
Janice
all-
was here before us, a couple
Yes.
weeks.
Correct, correct.
And we did not have an appraisal at that time.
Was the assessor able to come inside the house? when he
Yes,
did?
I actually met him there before, with the assessor, not
Not the appraisal.
Okay,
the
yes,
assessor
yes.
from the town.
from the town. Yes, I had met him there before the meeting,
Mhm.
the second meeting. And he walked through and he
Feel
had-
free to make the same commentary you made to me. When I did the walkthrough with her, she explained to me that he
Yeah.
made some commentary.
I brought him down to I was trying to show him the things. I says, I showed him that the cabinets in the kitchen had just been painted. They weren't new cabinets. It wasn't a complete upgrade. That he had, all of the contractors, when it had a little refurbish, the cost and everything. And when I went down to the basement, he really wasn't interested in the basement, but he was interested in there's the little enclosed porch that's facing the lake. It's narrow and it's small, but it's always been enclosed because that's, as people, come in out of the water, I wanted a place where it's not going to be trapped because the living room is right
Sure.
after that. And it's not heated, of course. And he says, oh, this could easily be living space. And he says, how can it be living space if it's not heated? And he says, well, you could easily put an electric heater in here. And I said, well, I can put an electric heater in my garage. Does that have living space? I was getting a little frustrated. And it's, everyone has their own opinion, but I just felt like, that he was because he had said before, when he said it could easily be living space, and he had said that I could actually change that to living space, so I felt like I'm better off not saying anything, just letting him see, and then just going on with the procedure.
Well, sure, my garage could be living space too, but it's not.
But it's not, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was getting like any type of an understanding or listening. It was almost like tunnel vision. So that's why I just said, well, I'll wait till the next step.
What time of day was he there?
I believe I met him around 11 because he had been next door. He had been at the neighbors because I saw him walk across. So I believe it was around 11 o'clock in the morning.
I just wanted to know if
I
it was
was just
5.
wondering why.
Because if it's
Why would
5
you-
o'clock and he wants to go home, he
Angry.
said it's on the
He's
road.
angry.
Right, okay.
No, it
Very
was
quick.
definitely not in the early evening. It
Uh-huh.
was,
But he got to see what was the word you used? Abysmal?
It was abysmal.
the dungeons.
It really was. And the entrance to it was at the far back right corner. So he had to go out and you come around the house and over.
Yeah, there's.
If
no
it
Is it just a
access.
bulkhead?
Yeah.
There's
Right,
no
I remember
access
seeing
to
that
the
in the-
house.
And if it snowed, there was no way you were going to get down there easily.
Well, I had
And it was
trouble
like
opening
this.
it
It was-
because it had frozen because there had been the ice. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had trouble popping it open.
So having this understanding, Linda, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Yeah,
Would you like, I can make a motion
sure, that would be wonderful.
that we reduce, I don't know what the assessment was. What was your assessment that you actually got? Because I don't have that.
Your
But we
original-
can, yeah, I kind of wanted to see it, but you know what I mean? The thing you get
I
from
can try
the,
to find it. I have a field. card.
I can bring up the field card. Give me a second, I can bring it up. What a shortcut for this.
Well, there you are,
what about the
right there. So the assessment is 474.7.
470? Okay, so that's what this number is. And the appraisal we have is 405,000.
Yep.
70% of that would be, we lost it. 283,500.
All right.
So I'll make a motion that the assessment be reduced to 283,500.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the vote is carried unanimously, Eric. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, so that was seconded by Alan Roy.
Yes.
Yep. And can you just read the motion to reduce the assessed value
To 283,500.
to reduce the assessed value to 283,500. Okay. Motion made by Linda Armstrong, seconded by Alan Roy. Motion carries 3-0-0.
Correct. All right, Mrs. Cole, do you have any questions of us? You'll be getting a letter of notification to give you this information as Linda described to me, and I wasn't aware that the tax collector may call you in regards to signing a form to that extent.
That's what I did with my auto. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
So whatever it is, we'll make sure it comes to your attention at a PO box and not your mailbox.
Yes.
The board erroneously sent her a notification to appear before us originally, and we sent it to her mailbox and she doesn't get mail. She has a PO box.
Okay.
But the chairperson did an oops So you're all set.
Thank you so
You
much.
have a
I
good evening.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the third person, just for the record, he received a letter that his hearing was going to be Thursday, the 15th. He clued in on Thursday and not Tuesday. And when I called him yesterday to advise him, he was unable to make it this evening. I tried to move it until the 19th. And unfortunately, he's out of town, so he's going to be added and has been added to the agenda on 24th, Thursday, the 24th. And so we should be hearing him then. We have hopefully a short hearing on the 19th. Bob, can you make that?
That's this Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. All right, I have one matter I was gonna ask you, but I made a point, I'm trying to educate myself on all these different matters. So one of them, and Linda and I had been through
Do we
training.
need to be on the, do you want this recorded or?
Well, this is
Yeah, on the record.
administrative, I think. So you get training, right? We got training. And in order to continue our training, I thought it would be wise to get some of the Andover tax decisions from court. So one that came before us this season was Emily Timrick. And she had won at court 5 years ago from an excessive amount of money. Well, it repeated itself this season with an excessive amount of money, and she came to us. And so I wanted a transcript from the trial. And it cost me $166.25. But
25 cents.
I talked to Dennis, the town attorney, and I said, you know, I think this is an appropriate expense for training because we can issue the transcript to the board. You can read it and get a feel for what happened and why. And with that understanding, he said, that's an excellent idea. You have to bring it before the board and take a vote on it as a training expense. And then actually, my understanding from Carol Lee is we're allowed $150 a year for training. So it falls outside of it by like $16.25 or whatever. So she said, make mention of that and they could cover that additional minor amount of money because right now it's out of my pocket. So having said that, I brought with me, because I bought it, you know, I had to drive to New Britain to get it. You have to pay cash or check. That's the only way they'll do it. They won't take credit
No
cards.
electronic way.
Yeah. So this is Emily Timrick versus Town of Andover. My son's a lawyer. So he ordered it up through transcript. What do they call those people that do the,
Court reporters.
thank
Can I
you.
make a suggestion that you just add a quick agenda item, like call it 4A and just say board open discussion?
Yeah, I just said it's administrative discussion about education, you know. Does that work?
Yeah.
So do we have the authority to approve this?
According to Carol Lee, we do.
Because.
Yeah, she said you just
Even
need-
the extra $16?
Yeah, she said you can do that. Just make sure you are aware that the first fee of $150 is covered automatically through training expense, and then the additional amount, which is, you know, because it's $166.25. She goes, if you want to be fully paid, you bring that up. And as long
Okay.
as the board,
Real quick, I don't want to sit on procedure here, but if you're going to do it, because you're about to make a motion for something that's not on the agenda. So what you should do is formally move right now to add an agenda item. And I would suggest calling it 4A administrative discussion and then vote on it. And then if it's approved, then you can make whatever changes or recommendations you would like.
All right, then, this is Bob Hamburger talking. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to add item 4A, administrative and training discussion for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Anyone second that motion?
I'll second it.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries 3-0-0. You got all that, Eric?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, well, I can't make a motion regarding the expense because I'm the one that's raising. I bought it. I
Yeah.
have it with me and I can drop it to Carol Lee and she can make copies of it.
So
Mhm.
what is the next motion to reimburse Alan Roy
Yeah.
for the $166.25?
25 cents.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
And
right,
what was that? What was that total amount again?
166.25. You got all that? We'll look for an adjournment.
I move that we adjourn. It is 7:32.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. And you're up to speed on all that, Eric. We really appreciate your work tonight.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, what do I do now?
I think you can just leave.
I
You
don't
just leave the
know.
meeting.
Right here. See this little leave right down
Or
there?
just close the window. Just exit out of, boom. That's where we leave the meeting.